On the afternoon of the 15th of December 1945, 5 US Navy bomber planes took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Everything was going normally when suddenly a panicked voice was heard on the radio. "Both my compasses are not working. I don't understand where we are." The base replied, "Turn west and return to Fort Lauderdale." But no response came back. One by one, all 5 planes disappeared from the radar. A rescue plane was immediately sent out to search for them. But things took a worse turn when the search plane itself vanished and never returned. For years, search operations went on, but not a single trace of any plane or soldier was ever found. Within just a few hours, 6 planes and 27 people disappeared, as if the ocean had swallowed them. No, this isn't a movie scene. This was a true incident. And after this tragedy, the world heard for the first time about that mysterious place from where no one returns. The Bermuda Triangle. A region of the Atlantic Ocean where, in the past 100 years, more than 50 ships and 20 planes have vanished without leaving any trace. Pilots say that the moment they enter this area, the sky suddenly turns dark. The compass starts spinning strangely, radio signals disappear, and they can't understand where they are. Instruments behave as if some invisible force has taken control of them. More than 1,000 people have gone missing here till now, so it's natural to wonder what lies in the depths of the Bermuda Triangle that swallows everything. Is it some supernatural power or a mystery of nature? Where do the ships and planes that disappear here actually go? And most importantly, what explanation does science give? Let's find out the answers to all these questions today. A vast part of the Atlantic Ocean, which looks completely normal from above, is actually the most mysterious patch in the world, known as the Bermuda Triangle. If you look at a map, it forms an imaginary triangle with 3 corners: Miami, Bermuda Island, and San Juan. Connecting these 3 points creates a massive oceanic region, spreading across 500,000 to 1.5 million square miles. So large that the entire country of India could easily fit inside it. The depth of the ocean inside this triangle is terrifying. The Puerto Rico Trench, the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean, lies here, around 27,000 feet deep, where even sunlight cannot reach. It is said that if a ship sinks here, its wreckage never comes back to the surface. The weather here changes dramatically. One moment the sky is clear, and the next, black clouds gather and swallow everything. Additionally, this area falls within the hurricane belt, so many tropical storms pass through each year. Apart from this, the Gulf Stream flows with such strong currents that if a small boat gets stuck here, its pieces might be found thousands of miles away within hours. But despite all of this, the strangest thing about the Bermuda Triangle is the behavior of the compass. Many pilots and sailors have reported that the compass suddenly stops showing the correct direction here. The signal for north gets twisted, and the navigator believes he is going the right way, while in reality, he has drifted deep into the ocean by mistake. This is why, as beautiful as this place looks, it is equally dangerous. And perhaps this contrast is what made it one of the world's greatest mysteries. But the Bermuda Triangle wasn't always so frightening or infamous. Just like every fear has an origin, the story of the Bermuda Triangle also began nearly 500 years ago, when humans first passed through the area. The year was 1492, when Christopher Columbus, sailing on his ship Santa Maria in search of the New World, passed through this region. He noted strange things in his logbook, such as a bright light appeared in the sky and suddenly fell into the sea. And the compass is not showing the correct direction. At that time, no one considered this place mysterious or dangerous. But what was about to happen in the coming centuries, no one could have imagined. Centuries passed, but the strange incidents linked to this sea route did not stop. In the 19th century, several ships were found drifting with no humans on board. The most famous of these was the Mary Celeste, discovered in 1872 in perfect condition. Food was kept inside, the sails were open, but not a single person was aboard. No SOS was sent, no sign of struggle. It seemed as if the entire crew had suddenly vanished into thin air. Though this ship was found slightly away from the core of the triangle, near Azores, the ghost ship story was enough to fire people's imagination. Then came the tale of Joshua Slocum, the first person to sail solo around the world. In 1909, he passed through this route and never returned. A legend who had circled the globe disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. Gradually, these incidents became the talk of sailors and fishermen. It began to be said that there was an evil sea in this part of the Atlantic that swallowed those who crossed it. Some called it the Devil's Sea, others the Curse of the Ocean. But a few decades later, an incident occurred that brought this region's mystery to the world on a massive scale for the first time. And that incident gave this place the name the Bermuda Triangle. The year was 1945, a cold afternoon in December. 5 Navy torpedo bombers took off from Florida. It was a routine training mission, just a few hours long. This mission was named Flight 19. The weather was clear, the winds calm, and the pilots were trained World War II soldiers, experienced, confident, and disciplined. But no one knew that within a few hours, this routine flight would become one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history. During training, a panicked voice suddenly came over the radio. "Both my compasses are not working. I don't understand where we are." This was Lieutenant Charles Taylor, the squadron leader. His compass was spinning, and the ocean below looked unfamiliar. He thought he was over the Florida Keys, while in reality, he had drifted in the opposite direction, deep into the open Atlantic Ocean. Soon, voices from the other pilots began coming through the radio too. "Fuel is running low. We can't see land. Everything looks strange." The base replied, "Turn west and return to Fort Lauderdale." But the radio signals kept weakening, the static increased, and within minutes there was complete silence. As evening fell, the Navy immediately launched a rescue mission. A large PBM Mariner seaplane carrying 13 men took off. But the unbelievable happened. Only 20 minutes after takeoff, the rescue plane also disappeared from radar. For the next 5 days, 300 ships and aircraft searched nearly 300,000 square miles. During this search, a cargo ship along the coast reported seeing a ball of fire in the sky. But after such an extensive search, neither the bombers of Flight 19 nor the rescue plane was ever found, not even a single body. In other words, 27 soldiers and 6 planes vanished as if into thin air. When the news hit the newspapers, the whole of America was shocked. Headlines read, "The Lost Patrol vanishes into thin air." 6 Navy planes missing, no trace found. The Navy's investigation report stated only one line, "Cause unknown." For the public, this unknown became a source of fear. Some said the planes were swallowed by an unknown force. Some spoke of a magnetic storm, others of a time warp. The media began calling it the Mystery Zone, and from there the name was born that scares the world today. The Bermuda Triangle. After this incident came to light, people realized that Flight 19 wasn't the first such event. Many mysterious accidents had already occurred in this region before. If we look back, the first major incident we come across is the tragedy of the USS Cyclops. It was the year 1918 during World War I. Cyclops was a massive cargo ship, 542 feet long, belonging to the American Navy. It was traveling from Barbados to Baltimore. On board were 11,000 tons of manganese ore and 309 people. The weather was clear, the sea calm, and the last radio message simply said, "Weather is fair, all is well." And after that, nothing was ever heard again. No SOS was sent, no confirmation of an explosion, no distress call was recorded. Cyclops and the 309 people on board disappeared as if someone wiped them off the ocean. The Navy sent hundreds of ships and scanned a large part of the Atlantic, but no wreckage was found and no survivor. People began forming theories. Some said a German submarine sank it, others said there might have been a sudden storm, but none of these theories had solid proof. Slowly the truth became clearer, and discussions spread that Cyclops had passed through the same part of the Bermuda Triangle, where the ocean is said to swallow anything that crosses its path. And the incidents in the Bermuda Triangle did not stop there. In 1948, another major and mysterious accident occurred. A British passenger aircraft named Star Tiger was flying from Azores to Bermuda with 31 people on board. During the flight, when the plane entered the Bermuda Triangle area, Bermuda Air Control received a radio message. "The weather is a bit rough, but all right. We are heading towards Bermuda." But just seconds after this message, the radio went silent. When they checked, the plane had disappeared from the radar. Search operations began, but no debris was found, no signal, nothing. And things became even stranger when just a year later, in 1949, another plane from the same airline, Star Aerial, took off from Bermuda to Jamaica. The route was almost the same, the aircraft model was the same, and the result was the same. The plane vanished and none of the passengers were ever found. 2 identical accidents in 2 years, both in the same part of the Atlantic. British investigators openly admitted, "We are completely puzzled. We cannot understand what happened." People now began to believe this wasn't a coincidence, it was a pattern. And this was still not the end of the mysterious events. Around the same time, another terrifying incident took place, the case of the Douglas DC-3. In December 1948, this civilian aircraft was flying from San Juan to Miami. There were 36 people on board, 33 passengers and 3 crew members. The pilot radioed, "We are approaching Miami." The weather was calm and the flight completely normal, yet just 50 miles from the coast, the plane suddenly vanished. No distress signal, no debris. The search team scanned thousands of square miles, but it seemed as if the ocean had swallowed everything. Some said it might have been a compass failure. Some said the fuel may have run out, but no explanation was ever proven. This incident, too, became a part of the Bermuda Triangle's unsolved mysteries. But this wasn't the end. A similar tragedy surfaced in 1963, a time when the world had become more modern. Radar and radio systems were far more advanced. Yet the story of the Marine Sulphur Queen shook everyone. This was a massive American cargo ship carrying molten sulphur that had departed from Texas. There were 39 crew members aboard the ship. During its journey in early February, the ship passed through the same part of the Atlantic, the Bermuda Triangle, and then disappeared without a trace. The last message from the ship on radio was, "All okay." After that, nothing was ever heard again. No wreckage was found, and not a single crew member's body was recovered. Then came another shocking incident on a December night in 1967. Near Miami, a businessman named Dan Burak, along with a friend, set out on a 23-foot yacht called Witchcraft. They simply wanted to admire the shoreline's Christmas lights. But around 9 p.m, the Coast Guard received a call. "Our boat has probably hit something. The propeller is stuck. No need to panic. Just send help." The Coast Guard replied, "Light a flare, we're coming." Only 19 minutes later, the rescue team reached the location, but there was nothing. No boat, no people, not even a piece of debris. Witchcraft was considered unsinkable because it had an extra flotation layer in its hull, yet it vanished inside the Bermuda Triangle in just 19 minutes. Where did that yacht go? This mystery remains unsolved to this day. And it's not like the mysterious incidents linked to the Bermuda Triangle only happened 100 or 50 years ago. Even in recent years, several incidents prove that this small part of the ocean is still as mysterious as it was 100 or 200 years ago. About 20 years ago, in the summer of 2005, a small Piper PA-23 aircraft took off from Treasure Cay in the Bahamas, heading toward Fort Pierce, Florida. There were 3 people on board. The weather was fine initially. The flight was on an IFR plan, and the altitude and heading after departure were normal. Its route was such that it had to pass through the Bermuda Triangle. But as soon as the plane entered that area, its radar blip vanished from the screen. No Mayday call came. Miami Center repeatedly tried contacting it, but no one responded. A plane had disappeared while flying in clear air. The Coast Guard immediately launched a search. Fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters scanned from the sky, and cutters traced grids across the ocean surface. But despite all efforts, nothing was found. The incident remained a mystery. Then another strange event occurred in 2015. In late July, 2 14-year-old boys, Austin Stephanus and Perry Cohen, left from the Jupiter area of Florida on their 19-foot boat for a morning fishing trip. This coastline lies very close to the western edge of the Bermuda Triangle. They bought fuel at the marina in the morning and went out to fish. The weather was clear and their families expected them to return on time. But by noon, the weather suddenly changed. A thunderstorm warning was issued, and shortly after, all contact with the boys was lost. Their families tried calling them. Radio calls were made too, but there was no response. By evening, concern turned into fear, and authorities were alerted. The Coast Guard launched a massive search. Helicopters and planes scanned from above. Cutters swept the sea in grid patterns. At first, nothing was found, but after a few days, their boat was spotted near Daytona. Before it could be recovered, it vanished again. Then the next year, in 2016, the same boat was seen once more, this time near Bermuda, and was finally recovered. Inside, some personal belongings and an iPhone were found, but the 2 boys were never located. It was as if the boys had disappeared into thin air. Another mysterious case occurred on May 15, 2017. A twin-engine Mitsubishi MU-2B was flying over the Bahamas, heading from Borinquen, Puerto Rico to Titusville, Florida. On board were New York entrepreneur Jennifer Blumen, her 2 children, and pilot Nathan Ulrich. Their route too passed through the Bermuda Triangle. But mid-flight, radar and radio contact with Miami ATC suddenly broke. Controllers kept calling, but there was no response from the cockpit. The Coast Guard immediately began searching. During the search, debris scattered across the triangle area was found, along with a thin layer of oil on the water's surface. Investigation confirmed that the parts belonged to the MU-2B aircraft. The search continued for days, but neither the full wreckage nor the cause of the crash was ever found. Thus, this too was added to the list of the Bermuda Triangle's unsolved mysteries. If we observe carefully, the pattern in all these stories is almost the same. A calm beginning, sudden loss of contact, endless searches, and finally, no explanation. But human nature is such that when logic stops working, imagination begins. And this imagination turns the Bermuda Triangle from a mystery into a legend. Some people say aliens live in the Bermuda Triangle. Yes, the same aliens who descend from the sky with bright lights and abduct ships. Some theories even claim the area is actually an alien base, a cosmic doorway from where they observe our planet. Many people have claimed to see fast-moving lights in the sky, and some believe that UFOs abducted the pilots of Flight 19. There is no proof of any of this, but imagination is so strong that people still believe this might be the place where the sky and outer space meet. Many people also link the triangle to the legendary Atlantis. They say that thousands of years ago, there was an advanced civilization under the Atlantic Ocean called Atlantis. Writer Charles Berlitz claimed that beneath the Bermuda Triangle lie Atlantis's energy crystals, which still function. These crystals supposedly release magnetic waves that disrupt ships' compasses. Some believe Atlantis's secret machines still operate underwater, occasionally pulling things into the depths. Zero proof, but infinite imagination. Another theory says the area contains a time warp or electromagnetic fog, a zone where time itself bends. Some pilots reported entering a deep cloud tunnel, and upon exiting, their clocks were suddenly 30 minutes ahead or behind. Old sailors claimed that sea monsters lived here. Terms like sea monsters, giant squids, and devil waves have been around for ages. Some even believe the truth is not supernatural, but governmental. Secret US Navy experiments involving magnetic fields or weather control, which allegedly trapped ships and planes in electromagnetic anomalies. But none of these claims have ever been proven, and no evidence supports them. They remain purely conspiracy theories created by human imagination. So the real question is, if all this is just imagination, how did so many people disappear over the years? To answer that, we must view this legend through the lens of science. Because behind every mystery, there is always a reason. And when scientists tried to understand the stories of the Bermuda Triangle, they found that perhaps this place isn't as mysterious as it seems. First, let's talk about the weather. This part of the Atlantic lies in the hurricane belt, where sudden tropical storms and tornado-like winds can transform the environment within minutes. A calm sea can turn dangerous in seconds. History records hundreds of ships sinking after ignoring storm warnings. In earlier times, without satellites or radar, the weather itself often became the biggest killer. Now about rogue waves, massive, monstrous waves. Scientists say several ocean currents collide in this region, and when strong winds blow in certain directions, sudden waves as high as 80 to 100 feet can form. A single such wave can swallow a ship and leave no trace. If a ship like the Cyclops were hit by such a wave, its wreckage could drift thousands of miles through the Gulf Stream. Next, methane gas hydrates, ice-like layers on the ocean floor that trap gas. Sometimes, due to underwater landslides or earthquakes, this gas suddenly escapes upward, reducing the water's density. The result? A ship's buoyancy drops and it sinks straight down, without sending an SOS and without leaving debris. This theory is still debated, but experiments have shown that methane bubbles can sink model ships in seconds. Then comes the issue of compass failure. Scientists say that parts of the triangle have nearly zero magnetic declination, meaning the compass sometimes points directly toward true north instead of magnetic north. If a navigator doesn't account for this difference, the course drifts, sending the ship in the wrong direction. Flight 19 of 1945 was probably a victim of this confusion. The most important explanation is human error. Experts say pilot or captain error is the biggest factor in most incidents. Fatigue, overconfidence, or a single wrong decision in panic can cost an entire crew their lives. At sea, even a small mistake can hide all evidence deep under the water. Scientific organizations like NOAA, the US Navy, and Lloyd's of London studied decades of data. Their conclusion: the Bermuda Triangle has no more accidents than any other busy sea route. Insurance companies don't charge extra risk fees for this region either, meaning, in their eyes, this area is just as dangerous or safe as any other. According to science, there is no supernatural force behind this mystery, just a natural combination of factors. Storms, currents, human mistakes, all together create an illusion that feels like a mystery. So does this mark the end of the legend? Science says clearly, there's no magic, no monster in the Bermuda Triangle. But still, this place continues to make us wonder, because sometimes, even after knowing the truth, the mind refuses to accept it. The real truth is that fear and mystery live within us. We feel a thrill in the unknown, and this curiosity has pushed us toward every great discovery. The Bermuda Triangle is not just a place, it is a mirror of our imagination. A mirror that shows how quickly humans turn fear into a story, and a story into a legend. Even today, when someone makes a documentary or writes a book on this topic, people can't resist watching it. Because perhaps we enjoy keeping some mysteries alive. Because if every question had an answer, the world of imagination would end.